Welcome back, everybody. There's a couple things that can keep me off the water. One is a lot of wind, and we're seeing that this weekend, so not a really good time to be out in the water for me. And the other thing is NFL playoffs all day today and tomorrow, so I'm going to watch a little football. But since I can't go fishing, one of the things I like to do is talk about fishing. I've got some different videos I'm going to be working on soon. I'm going to give away some more flies. I'm going to give away some fly tying yarn. Or wool yarn from flytyingyarn.com, Tenkara addict with Tristan. He was kind enough to donate some to this giveaway. And so whether you're a tyer, you can get the yarn, or if you're not a tyer, you can get some of the flies. I have some soft hackle wets that I'm going to give away this time. Last time I gave away some bead-headed nymphs. So stay tuned for that. I'm also going to do some gear reviews on some packs and slings, as well as some other gear. So until the snow clears up high in the mountains, we're going to continue to stay busy. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I've received a lot of questions about the variety of rods that I have, so I thought I'd go into a little bit more depth on comparing Seiryu rods, Tenkara rods, and Keiryu rods for those people that want to learn a little bit more or just curious. So what I'm going to do is I have a small selection in front of me that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to tilt the camera down so you can see them and you don't have to look at my ugly mug. Okay, so I've got 4 Seiryu rods out here, 3 Tenkara rods, and 3 Keiryu rods. And I'll start off just with a very high-level generalization between them. So Seiryu rods typically are lower penny rating, so not as stiff, although they come in a variety of full flex versus tip flex, but generally smaller fish, shorter rods, and lighter, lower penny ratings. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Keiryu rods. And typically, if I was to categorize them, I'd say longer rods. They are stiffer in the midsection and lower section, but still a very a flexible tip, and very good at bigger fish. They're also meant to be used, I guess, or they were designed to be used. A bit different style than what we normally think of with Tenkara. I am going to do another video in the future. I had some questions about how I rigged up my Keiryu rod that I was fishing with yarn markers and such. So I'll do another video specifically on that. And I think a lot of the Keiryu rods are also two-handed rods. This 24-foot rod, you're not going to go playing lightsaber with it with a single hand. So two-handed rods, and that's kind of fun casting that way, actually. And then in the middle, we've got Tenkara rods, and they kind of bridge the gap between the two. You can get a large variety from short rods to long rods to light rods to heavy rods, big fish Tenkara rods. One thing in common, I guess, is you can see none of my Seiryu or Keiryu rods, they don't have cork. And all the Tenkara rods that I have, including all the ones on the wall behind me, do have a handle, whether it be cork or foam or wood. There are rods out there that deviate one way or the other from some of those generalizations, but that's the big picture. Let's go back to the Seiryu rods for a second. I have some rods that are as short as 8 feet, and I've got another Kurenai on order. This is the 45R, HM45R. I've also got the 54 on order. Should have it in a few days, and that's a 17-foot rod. So 8 foot up to over 17 feet for my Seiryu rods. Again, in general though, meant for small fish. The penny ratings vary from 5, which is about as small as Tenkara Bum has measured, or as low as he's measured. This Kurenai Prospect 33 has a 14 penny rating, so that's the highest of the rods that I have. I don't know what the 54 is going to be. He doesn't measure them that long. Even the 45 here, even though this is in that 15-foot range or 14.5-foot range, it's only 12 penny rating. So that kind of sums those up. They're super nice. They're a riot with small fish. And if I had my my choice, a blank check for fishing, I would be fishing very small streams, small fish, and most likely I'd have one of these small rods in my hand. They're just very super light. This one, the Hakubai 240, is only 0.6 ounces to give you an idea. So extremely fun to fish with, and makes even a 4-inch brookie feel like a Moby Dick. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I talked about I have a lot of Keiryu rods, and probably have as many Keiryu rods as I do Tenkara rods. I really like them. I find them to be very, very versatile, and one of the main things is you can get them in much longer lengths. So a lot of the water I fish is either big water, or it might have the possibility of big fish, or a lot of the places I go, which I haven't made any videos yet because it's wintertime, but where I go up in the wilderness area is above tree line most of the time, over 10,000 feet. So you have essentially unlimited casting room. So even with small water, it's crystal clear. So the further you can get away from the fish, the better chance you have of catching them without spooking them. So I don't always use them for Keiryu. In fact, Keiryu style fishing with weight or yarn markers, I actually use them as kind of Tenkara rods on steroids. Even the penny ratings for the Keiryu rods are generally higher than the Tenkara rods. The smallest I have is this Traveler 27 from Tenbum. It's actually a 9-foot rod, and the penny rating is around 13.5. So again, there's always exceptions to the rules, and that gives you an example of the muddy lines between the three types of rods. So this Keiryu rod is shorter and a lower penny rating than this Seiryu rod. So the moral of the story is don't pay a lot of attention to how they're actually categorized. If you're interested on how to use them, or what you might want to use them for, pay attention to the characteristics as far as the length, the weight, and the penny rating, and whether it's tip flex, full flex, and that will tell you a lot more about the rod than just the category of rod. I use Tenkara, the term, kind of interchangeably, just because a lot of people haven't heard of the other two. But anyways, back to the Keiryu rods. So that's my smallest one. My longest one, I guess, is the Sawanabori by Suntech. It's a 72, so 7.2 meters. It's almost 24 feet. I did a video with that one. Super fun rod. I want to say the weight is about 5.7 ounces. So that's, I think, my heaviest rod because it is so long. But in general, the Keiryu rods that I have them selected for being very lightweight for their given length. This Traveler, for instance, a 9.5-foot rod, it's right at 0.9 ounces. A 9-foot rod, I keep saying 9.5. And then this Konami 3 FP43, I made a video of that recently as well. So again, extremely lightweight. They're very, a stiff midsection, but the penny ratings are can be pretty significant on some of them. Even this 43, even though it's a very light rod, it has a penny rating of 25, if I recall. It's either 25 or 26. So in general, stiffer than what most of the Tenkara rods are. And that's made for fishing deep water, having weight on the line, getting good hook sets, as well as being able to lift fish out of the water and throw them on the bank, for when they, designed for commercial fishing and survival, really. So they don't kind of mess around and play with them. But the one thing I really like about the Keiryu rods, aside from the length, is their versatility. They have very soft tips for the most part. So even smaller fish are very fun to catch. And if you do happen to latch into a big fish, you can really have great control, even if with a middle of the road penny rating. With that extra length, you can fight bigger fish than you can for a given penny rating in a shorter rod. So it gives you a lot of control over the fish, and you can really catch surprisingly large fish even on 5 or 6x tippet. The Tenkara rods in the middle here that most people are familiar with, they also come in a variety. So this Oni 3, for instance, it's in that 14, if I recall, 14 penny rating. And so it's the same as this Seiryu rod here, and within a half a penny of this Keiryu rod again. So really gray lines between them. My Tenkara rods, I have, my shortest is around 9 foot. This Anglo & Company Kawasa. And then I have my longest Tenkara rod is almost just over 17 feet, and that's my Gamakatsu that I talked about before. And then this rod is probably, well, my stiffest one at 35 pennies. So this is the Daiwa Expert Tenkara LTH 44. And it's also a little bit heavier, about 3.7 ounces. I also have rods, Tenkara rods as well as Keiryu rods that are multiple position rods. So, can be fished at different lengths. But in general, I don't pay a lot of attention, like I said, to what the term is. I look at what are the specifications of the rod. From there, I don't worry about whether it has a grip or not. I actually like fishing without the grips, the cork or the foam. They fit your hand better with the cork or the foam, but they add weight, they add cost. The Tenkara rods with the foam or the cork or the wood will tend to be a little less sensitive than if you're just holding the rod blank on some of these Seiryu rods or Keiryu rods. So think about more of what you want to use the rod for, and then find a rod that matches it. That's a lot of the fun for me. I try to match the rod to the situation, and as well as I have an appreciation for the differences in the types of rods and how they feel different, fish different, cast different, and fight fish differently as well. That's kind of my summary of the 3 categories of rods. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. I'd appreciate it.